They get it all together, put it on a skid, shrink wrap it, all the components, all the liners and everything, the gravel for it. There's some noisy neighbors over there.
Sounds about like us running paver saws.
We're never noisy. Good morning, folks. This is Ben with Tussey Landscaping, and we are at a beautiful home in State College on this gorgeous day, and you certainly don't get this privilege every year. So we're going to be building a 10x14 pond with an 8-foot stream in the backyard of this beautiful home. Primary viewing is going to be that window, and then we have a deck over there. So let's paint out some blinds and start digging. Okay, step one for a 10x14 Simplicity Series pond. Marked out 14 by 10 feet, and then I just kind of painted out the circle roughly 10 by 14. I don't like completely round circles, so we moved around with it until it ended up looking like a cat.
Let me show the camera.
Well, it didn't really look like a cat until I decided about where my 8-foot stream's gonna go. Then it looked kind of like a tail, and so we got a little carried away. He drew some whiskers, and I drew some pointy ears on it.
Pointy ears. And...
I can see a cat.
It looks like a cat now.
We are artists after all. I think because we don't have any slope here, this one's probably only gonna have 2 falls. One out of the biofalls here, right for that window, wrap around here, and another fall so that you can see it from the deck. So that's what we're hoping to do. Come in there with some machines and start moving some earth. Okay, so this is something pretty cool. You have a little project in the backyard, you don't want to get into some grass work, put down traction mats. The whole way out. Track machines do pretty good, but these definitely help keep us from doing grass work. Take a look at that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about are you ready?
Yes.
About the systems and processes of our water features. We have a pretty good setup with our aquascape distributor. When we started selling water features, well, it's kind of evolved over the years, but right now we have a couple of different kits. We have the whole Simplicity series, this is the 10x14 with an 8-foot stream. Then we have the Premier collection, and then there's pondless waterfalls. And we've designed and built a kit for each of those. So we just call Tussey Mountain Mulch and say, hey, we sold 10x14 with an 8-foot stream Simplicity series, and they go, okay, and they have a whole list of items there that is included with that kit. So they get it all together, put it on a skid, shrink wrap it, all the components, all the liners and everything, the gravel for it, depends which kit it is. There's some noisy neighbors over there.
Sounds about like us running paver saws.
We're never noisy. Depends which kit it is, they provide the rock as well, but some of the kits, we have our own rock. So that's a pretty smooth system if they remember everything that's on the list. But for the most part, we get to the job, we have this neat package right here, and everything's on it, pulled together, and it solves a lot of headache on every single job trying to decide, okay, so what do I need and how much do I need? Makes it easy to bid and makes the whole process smooth. So I'm gonna go up there and unpack that and check to make sure that everything's along. That's usually the scoop that brings up the electrical wires, the sewer, the downspouts, and the propane.
So far we're all good.
That's highly unusual.
So Ben, how's the digging going?
This is some of the worst I've ever seen. So if you're wondering what you do when you come to dig your pond and you have a soil that's completely impossible to build shelves like we typically do, there's really only one thing to do, and we've done this before. You have to dig the whole thing out to the total depth that you would, one steep big hole, and then bring in some soil that you can actually work with, pack it in, and then dig your pond again. So we're gonna dig a giant hole here, get rid of all the limestone that's in here. This obviously was excavated before at one time. It's broken apart, but it's like trying to dig shelves in clean stone. So we're gonna dig a big hole, take everything out down to the depth of the bottom shelf of the pond, bring in fresh soil, pack it in, and then we'll start over. Dig your pond. It's gonna take some extra time, but it's the only option. Take a look at this stuff.
That's what we're working with.
Imagine what it would be like if you lived in a state like, say, Chicago or somewhere in the Midwest where it's all sand or topsoil.
Nice, easy digging.
Yeah, you know, like where Greg comes from. They probably dig their ponds with shovels.
Well, they probably could. Wouldn't even be hard work.
You wouldn't dig this one with a shovel. Okay, we're finally at the point where we should have been at about 10 o'clock this morning, and it's 2. But what we did, we dumped in all that fill. We jumping jacked it with our jumping jack to make sure that we have good compaction and the shelves don't settle after a week after we leave. And then we dug out all the dirt we brought in. Not quite. I mean, we used some of that to form our shelves. The whole purpose of these shelves is we don't have 36-inch rocks. We have smaller rocks, and so you set the rocks in front of these shelves, and so you get layers. You never see any rubber liner. If my rock wasn't quite high enough, I'd set a rock here that isn't quite high enough, and then I'd pour gravel on top. Eventually the gravel would work off and the liner would be exposed. I can show you more of that once we start setting boulders, but shelves, you have to have shelves in a pond. All right, I'm ready for rock pad, which is, it's an underlayment to protect the liner. It's a thick felt fabric, and once this is in, then we get our rubber liner. Okay, let's get her in. Okay, end of day 1. In spite of our setbacks, we did make some progress. And as you can see, the bottom 2 shelves are rocked in. And we do this in shelves because the rocks are small. This makes sense. Set this one on top of this shelf, this one on top of it, fill this one in, and that way the gravel on top of this shelf is not going to erode down there and eventually expose liner. The whole idea is, doesn't matter how long this sets here, I'm never going to see any black liner, ever. If I have a rock that's a little bit low, say this one takes out, then I fill in a bunch of gravel here. It might look good when I leave, but after about 2 years, this is going to run down here, and guess what I'm going to see? A black liner. Make sure you get your rock work high enough. Not sure how this one was in anymore.
No, you just done screwed it all up.
So, Deej will fix it tomorrow. Make sure you get your rock work high enough. It'll work for now. Your rock work high enough so that your gravel is not going to run down there and expose liner. And tomorrow, we're going to finish the little bit of the top shelf here, pretty much there. And we're going to start building the stream. Right here is where the stream's going to come in. Try to get some viewing off of that deck. Get back through there. We always set up our skimmer, which houses the pump, at the opposite end of the water where the water comes in, so that it draws the water across the pond. So right here's where the water comes in. It sucks this skimmer with the pump over here. We'll suck it all the way across the pond so that you always have moving water, so you don't have any stagnant water. The bugs don't go into it. It keeps your water fresh and clean. Mosquitoes won't breed in it, and that's the whole idea. You always want to put this at the opposite end of the pond so you don't have any areas where the water sits still. So there you have it. I'll see you guys in the morning. It looks like the weather's still going to be nice. Today was incredible.
Sunny and 75.
Yeah, wasn't long until I had to take my sweater off. So
you didn't mention your fish cave. There's Ben's fish cave.
Oh yeah, I did build a little fish cave. These ponds can be a real challenge to build.
Nice little fish cave.
It's a simplicity series, which means it's locally sourced, smaller rock, so that you don't have to set them all with the machine. It's supposed to go a little bit faster, but I'm not sure that it does, because you end up having smaller rock, and then you have to stack them because they're not high enough.
Which ends up in looking like...
It's nice.
Like that. It looks nice.
Very nice, but it's actually, it takes
time
some skill to build.
And
because you need to make sure that everything's steady, nothing rocks, doesn't fall over when you stand on it, and yeah, it has its own set of challenges. Looks nice. I do like this locally sourced rock. It's native to this area and looks pretty.
Very mossy.
Yeah, well, they just harvested it like last week or something from out of the mountains around here, so that's awesome. Okay, can I spray?
No, don't.
Can I spray the lens of your fancy camera?
Weston would kill you.
I think that would look cool. See you guys in the morning!